The next thing that we're going to go over is checking the motor brushes in your quilting machine. On all of the newer style machines, except for the Ultimate 1 and Ultimate 2, your motor is on the back end of the machine underneath this cover. To access it, we need to loosen the 3 screws on both sides of the machine, starting with your thread guides. We'll do that now. Once all 3 screws have been loosened, this cover can be lifted straight up off the machine. For the 2007 and earlier machines, there is another wire connection up here at the top. You don't need to disconnect that at this time. Just set your motor cover down on the front end of the machine. Motor brush housings are located back here on this machine, where on the newer style machines the motor is rotated, so the motor brush housings will be up front. But on each side, the round cap is here at the back with a slot in the center for a flat blade screwdriver. Take the cap out, and we'll have a brass piece followed by a spring with a wire, and at the very end is your motor brush. This little graphite piece at the end is your motor brush. And if you look at it, the side view, you see there's a curve in the end of that brush. That matches how your motor is turning. That will be important when we're going to replace the motor brush, that we get it reinstalled correctly. When you're checking your motor brush, what you're looking for is the length of the graphite piece, from the end closest to the spring to the long end at the end of the motor brush. When the brush is new, this length is almost ½ an inch. When the motor brush gets worn down to 3/8 of an inch, which is not very much wear, but when that's down to 3/8 of an inch, that's when we want to get the brushes replaced. It's much easier to replace a $12 set of motor brushes versus replacing the entire motor. Once a year, when you're checking your motor brushes, after you've removed the brushes from both sides of the machine, it's a good idea to use your compressed air and blow through your motor to get the extra carbon dust out of the motor. I'm going to use my air compressor hose. Give her a quick squirt here so we can see just a little bit what this is going to look like for you. There's not a lot of dust coming out of this motor. Normally what you'll see is a large black cloud of dust, so you won't want to do this when you have a quilt on your machine. But spend a couple minutes blowing your air through, turning your flywheel just to make sure that we get all the dust out of the motor. Now, to get our motor brushes reinstalled, we want to make sure that the curvature at the end of the brush is going into the machine the same way the motor is curved. There are numbers and letters on the sides of the motor brush. It's not important whether the numbers are on top or sideways. The most important thing is the curve at the end. Reinstall the motor brush back into the motor. Feed the spring and the brass end back inside. Slide your cap and then just very lightly snug the cap back into the motor. This cap is just plastic, and with the heat of the motor it does get brittle over time, so you will want to be very careful with that. Once a year check, take good care of your motor and it will last a long time.